Yeah, but we had a $0 million business that turned into a $1 million business. $1 million business turned into a $3 million business. $3 million business turned into a $6 million business in a fucking apartment.
This is about control. Everybody knows. Everyone complies. We're the kinds of pros. I don't need a plane. I just hit the road. I do what I want. I can't sell my soul. Market about to crash. This is what you chose. Ruining the country. I've been that's the goal. You gonna take the mark. I take narrow roads. I'm a man of God. I can never fold.
Welcome to the Protect Your Purpose podcast, where we talk whiskey, business, friends, family, and freedom, and sometimes faith and fun, and
fantasy football.
and never fantasy football.
Well,
I'm your host, Matt Marchese, and this is my meathead dad lifter, dads who lift,
meathead.
Zach Grady, and of course, my lovely and beautiful wife, Lindy. Welcome, honey.
Hello, thank you.
She brought it again. She brought it again.
Hey,
I
by
love
the
it.
way, this is a local business.
I love it. And you're a dad lifter. Let's talk about that business. Where is it? You know?
Mostly online.
Oh,
I
sweet.
mean, it's all online, actually.
Oh!
But it was a buddy of mine. Him and another guy started it.
So, are they a for-profit business? Do you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, dads who lift. All right. It must have been someone else.
And then
thought
he started a Facebook group that has like a gazillion people in it now.
dads who lift.
Yep, Dads Who Lift.
Shout out dads who
Cool.
lift.
So Joel Staley, Tyler Gata, those two started it in Omaha. Met him through Instagram, actually. Didn't even know he lived in Omaha, and we were like bullshitting, and then found out he lived in Omaha. So,
Now you're besties.
yeah, we're friends. We're not besties, but we have never touched tips.
No tip touching.
No.
Okay, good. Oh, that's good. Well, I mean,
Like that.
Not yet, Joel.
Joel.
if you're up for it,
Joel, here at the Protect Your Purpose podcast, there is no judgment.
no judgment free.
Judgment free. Anyway, Zach. Well, cool shirt. Dads who lift. What the hell are we drinking today?
So we're going back to
What are we drinking today?
the decanter,
Oh, the Marchese decanter.
the
Yeah.
Marchese decanter,
You remember what's in here?
Buffalo Trace. Yeah.
Yeah, Buffalo Trace. And Ian brought kicking some fucking knowledge this afternoon. What time is it? This afternoon?
Yeah, close enough.
Ian, we're not drinking in the morning. Although we do. When we record in the morning,
do.
we drink in the morning. We don't
Those are
care.
some of our best podcasts, I feel like, too.
Never a bad time.
Dude, when you're controlled day drinking, like, meaning not at a tailgate,
Not
because
just cracking open a beer in the morning.
shotguns and shit while playing bags, like, but you're like having a sophisticated conversation. Sophisticated.
Come on.
Okay, if you're having
Come
a
on.
controlled conversation in a studio while drinking, I don't see anything wrong with 8 a.m.
No.
Nope.
Science.
Yeah. And then it gives you time to
Hashtag for the brand.
drink some. That's right. We're doing it for the brand. Speaking of the brand, we've got some more. It's coming out.
We got merch.
Merch.
We got merch on the way.
Merch
We got
alert.
merch on the way?
Merch alert.
It's not ready yet, but we're making it work. We're gonna have some badass Protect Your Purpose.
We're getting closer and
yeah.
closer.
Yeah, we've
I
got
can
some
smell
shit,
it.
but I don't want to launch garbage. So and anyone who knows me knows that I'm
Perfectionist.
mildly perfectionist. So
So we
got problems
probably
with
aren't
our
going to have
demos.
merch.
we're gonna no. I assure you, we will have merch.
Maybe
It's
not
not-
for 2 years.
If
or
we're waiting on
something,
Matt's
but-
standards.
I never claim to be fast at anything. One thing.
No, you haven't.
We won't go there.
Oh.
I do claim to be fast at that because I don't want to be called a liar. Pour me some of that delicious Buffalo Trace. So Ian kicked a little knowledge here this afternoon on
For the Trace?
Buffalo Trace. Yep. He figured out that Buffalo Trace is the distillery and Buffalo Trace is the product, which
Why is the decanter so awkwardly shaped to pour? Like, it's hard to grab.
I
I
think
got
there's
baby hands.
dude. I think you
Can
do
we
have
get a-
you
can
do
we
have
get
small
a-
hands
I'm
like
sure
Marco
it has
Rubio.
nothing
remember?
to do with the small hands.
Can we get... Yeah, well, I mean, it's just an awkward shape and kind of hard to pour. But.
Yeah, so I think decanters are not meant to be good for pouring. I think they're meant to be more beautiful and less practical. That's why.
It is very beautiful.
Yeah, they're supposed to be pretty big, giant. I mean, a bar would never
wouldn't
bar
serve
would
that,
never
right?
want to carry a bottle of this shape. So in the distilled spirits business, here's a good little topic. In the distilled spirits business, bottle choice is something that normal, ordinary, non-business minded, and specifically the distilled spirits business minded people would never consider. And you have to consider the bar or retail space or homeowners shelf space that people value. And also in that is where do you want so when you're making your decision for the bottle, you decide where do you want it to be on a shelf at the bar. Do you want it to be in the top in a beautiful glass that's going to look like a decanter that they're going to have to pull out and pour once a month for the few people that are willing to pay the $200 for the shot?
Right.
Or do you want something that goes in the Speedwell? Because if you give a bartender this in the Speedwell, they're not selling your drink. Because they're going to be like, no, I'm not fucking with that bottle. It's too heavy. It's too awkward. You know, our pores don't fit in, or whatever whatever. Doesn't. Tiny little baby hands. All right, so let's talk. So we got our drink down. I don't have any notes for today, so we're free balling it.
We're not free balling.
That's not the right word. Didn't mean free balling. I meant free falling it.
Falling it.
Free falling.
I don't know what you meant.
You know what I meant.
No, we've been getting some requests. So we did a bunch of family. Well, we did a bunch of political or freedom. Excuse me. Bunch of freedom podcasts.
Edit that out. Don't ever allow anyone to hear us say we did political.
Do not say the P word.
You don't say that word. It's a freedom podcast.
And then we did a bunch of family. And there's been some requests. What are you doing?
Did you spray perfume? Mm-hmm. Loading up the studio, covering up Ian's COVID breath.
Good.
Anyway,
good,
sorry.
good.
Go on. I'm sorry to interrupt.
And Matt's breath in general. But
Whiskey.
For some business.
Yeah.
Some business, Matt. The
Yeah.
people want to hear
Yeah.
from the successful entrepreneur that is Matthew Marchese.
Oh, well, thank you. I don't consider myself super successful, but that's just because I know what's in my brain. It's all relative, for sure. I look at other people that I look at and say,
You know what you haven't done yet compared to what you have done.
yeah, that's a perfect way of putting it. Yep. Yeah, I know where I've fallen short, and I know what I haven't done that I'm planning on doing. So, I think
So
most
there's more
people.
to the story, is what you're saying.
Oh,
But
hell yeah.
I think as far as building a business, though, most people would say you've done well for yourself.
Yeah.
From ground zero.
Yeah, and I understand
to-
that. I understand that that people feel that way. I think most people that are my personality type and my profession, meaning the business entrepreneurial profession, I think most people that are like me feel like me too.
Like it's not enough. And
Yeah,
there's
it's not
more-
enough.
There's more to come.
Yeah. So that's another quick story. So wait, before I get into that story, remind me, I want to tell the story about how you asked me if enough is ever enough. So the format of this podcast is what? What are we doing?
Business.
Okay. And we're just roundtabling it?
Yeah, I got
Okay.
some questions.
Perfect. You got some questions? Do you have questions or answers or what's she doing?
I have questions.
She's here.
Questions. You've got questions.
Oh.
Okay.
She's been along for the ride, though, so I think her input could be important, too, for,
Of course.
I mean, spouse and familial support is important.
Familial.
Also. You like that?
That ain't a word.
I think it
I love
is.
Ian. Familial.
Webster, look it up.
I just want to add some context too, because don't forget, she supported the family while he started the business and brought no money in for a while because he put it back in the business.
Oh,
Lindsay
big.
was the breadwinner.
So she has a lot of
For a very
context
short
to
while.
how an entrepreneur can get a startup. You got to have a sugar mom.
Dude, that's a fact. So I've told people that for a long time. That's good. Great job, Ian. Even with Ian's got the COVIDs.
He
Does not.
Oh no, he doesn't because he's taken 27 tests. He takes a test every 4 hours.
He
Just
did
like the
say he was
CDC
going to wear a mask
recommends.
today. So.
Yeah, where's your mask?
Too late.
You wouldn't have let me in the house. Don't even go there.
Fucking right. You're damn right. I wouldn't have let you in the house. Although one time for I think like a holiday or something, Zach and his whole family came in wearing masks. That was pretty funny. Remember?
We did?
Yeah, we were at our old house, and you showed up.
He's like,
As a
we
joke?
did.
I was going to say that had to be a joke.
Oh, for sure. You did it all. Let's go in and see what. It was
Okay.
early. It had to have been 2 years ago.
Yeah, right when everything
Yeah.
first came
And
out.
you showed up. You all decided in the car, we're all going to show up with masks on. Douches. Anyway, great question or comment, rather. I've told people that for a lot of years. Like, they don't quite understand the actual value of a support system at home, not only like physical support, doing things, financial support, paying for things, but like the emotional support of entrepreneurship, especially in a startup, especially when you do it like I do it, which is, dude, when I go all in and I'm okay going back to zero if that's the end, which I've had to do. I've had to go in, take a big swing and lose everything I had on a risk and then go back to zero again and start over. But when you do that, the fear and the darkness and the roller coaster, the emotional roller coaster, the ups and downs of startups and of just the overall stress that comes with it. It's a weight, it's a load to carry. And without the support, and I mean like undying fucking support of your spouse, I don't see it how it could happen. I don't see how you could be successful. And Lindy talks about that, what she calls, our success, my success. And I'm like, you forget your role. You forget that when I literally was trying to get a job at the Hard Rock just so I can make...
Bartending.
Yeah. No. It was like a night, which bartending too. I forgot about that. Remember?
Yeah.
Dude, I was in between. Like I went from a multi-million-dollar business back to zero again. That was my third time really, but second time going to zero on my career and starting over, where I was saying, well, I'll just get a job. I had a little side hustle, had another little side hustle while I got my wheels going again. None were producing, just enough to kind of stay afloat. I had cut all my expenses, sold all my shit that I had, literally went back to zero with a little bit of cash that I had. And I was trying to get a job at the Hard Rock as like the nighttime marketing branding manager. And I'm like, look, I'll be a bartender. Just give me a job. I need like 30 or 40 grand a year just so I can continue. And I couldn't get a job then. Dude, you're talking going from a position where I felt like I had the world at my fingertips and I was on the trajectory to be one of those, one of what I have now, like a Inc. 5000 fastest growing companies, a local fast growing company, national, doing things to, I can't get a job at Hard Rock.
Humbling.
Dude, humbling, scary, emotional, sad. Like I went through all of those to where having a spouse who, when I come home, whether she believed it or not, I don't know, saying, all right, cool, now get your ass up and let's go. Like this was your plan, remember? And just to constantly be reminding me of what my own plan was. Nope, you knew this was going to happen. Let's go. From that kind of emotional support to, like we discussed on that episode, like you mentioned, the financial support. I went back to zero. Husbands, okay? What? Better yet, wives. Imagine your husband coming home to you and saying he's going to go from making 6 figures to intentionally going down to 0 figures. No dollars. I committed to my wife and made her commit to me that I would not bring home any income for 2 years. Imagine the support level that it takes to support your spouse to come home and says, basically, I'm going to go back to 0.
Yeah, because she could have easily left your ass and made more in child support.
For sure. Well, she would have to have taken a percentage of the 0. Which, pick your fucking percent. I mean, yeah, the ball ain't bouncing any different ways from 0 on that one. But side note, great point. And one thing that I want to mention on that too was what I kind of led into or was alluding to when I left Stonebrook. So Stonebrook is another local business who is owned by my cousin and one of my dear friends, Steve Kunkel, and Lindy. So Kunkel's wife and my wife are first cousins and besties. Anna was maid of honor in our wedding. But I worked for him at one of the times, and also, $100,000 a year plus. Came home, told Lindy that that was the easiest job that I had ever had, really, because I had kind of full autonomy. I was working, growing. I enjoyed what I was doing. Anyhow, came back not long after and said, I think I'm going to leave the job. There was some drama and some shit. I think I'm going to leave the job and start my own thing. And she's like, what are you talking about?
We're just about to have our second baby, right?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Or no, we had just had our second baby. So we had 2 babies, a 1-year-old and a 0-year-old and a 1-year-old. And Lindy's question to me was, will enough ever be enough for you? And yeah, the answer was no. Spoiler alert, the answer was fucking no. I thought about it though. Like I said, hey, that's a valid question. I could tell she was frustrated that I was about to put her, and she was traveling to and from Omaha to Lincoln for the Army. Pregnant, had spent the last basically 2.5 years pregnant or with infants, like obviously stressed that I was about to dismantle our thing we had going again. And I said, just let me think about it. Let me consider the question, and I'll let you know. And I thought about it. I came back to her. Gosh, it had to have been the next day, later that day. And I said, can you silence your phone, please?
Sorry.
Have some respect
I'm
for the
kind of
Protect Your
popular.
Purpose
Kind
podcast.
of a big deal.
You are a big deal. I basically said, I thought about your question. And I think the answer is no. So you're either in or out on this because I think this is going to be the way I do things. When I get to a certain level, I tend to self-destruct or build. And sometimes, and all the time, really, I think, for me at least, you kind of have to self-destruct something. If you want to make an omelet, you got to break some eggs, is what I say. So don't get too comfortable, or we need to really make a decision on this now. So you okay with that? So we literally talked about how enough isn't going to be enough, and I'm going to self-destruct what we have in order to get to the next level from here on out, forever.
And boy, did you. No, just kidding.
I didn't lie.
No, you didn't.
I told you I'm a lot of things. Not a liar.
That's also how entrepreneurs are. Enough isn't enough for an entrepreneur, and that's how you are successful, because you always are looking at that next step.
Yeah. So there's business owners and entrepreneurs, and I think there's some chatter and some opinions on what separates a business owner or a business operator from an actual entrepreneurial person. So like a true entrepreneur. And I think, in my opinion, that has a part of it. And it's not because that is the requirement. I just think that's a good indicator of whether or not you're dealing with a true entrepreneur or not. There's entrepreneurs who are bona fide, typified entrepreneurs who built and grew and exceeded any measurable expectation that could be set for success. And then who just got tired. And they're like, you know what? Got plenty of money, plenty of time. Values change. My kids are grown. Whatever. But yeah, early on, I think that's a personality trait of a true entrepreneurial person.
That was going to be a 2-part question I got for you. So let's go back to the beginning.
Questions.
Let's go back to the beginning. Have you always had, because you always hear like these people that have built successful businesses, are like, well, when I was 10, I had a lemonade stand on the corner and I was hustling cigarettes on the schoolyard,
That was Matt. Not the cigarette part, but.
Cigarette part.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, they're always in some sort of money-making scheme.
He was always.
Even as a child. So one, you can talk about that piece a little bit. And two, your business now is big on the personality assessments, which for the listeners who don't really understand that in layman's terms is you give people a personality test to hopefully put the right people in the right positions to, one, make them happy, and two, be successful in said position, which in turn makes the company more successful, right?
That's right.
Do you have to have a certain personality to be an entrepreneur? Or is there just certain traits? Like if I have a certain personality that doesn't necessarily align with entrepreneurial spirit, am I just doomed if I start a business?
That is a fantastic
You know what
fucking
I'm
question.
trying to say, right?
Yeah. I know
One,
exactly what you're trying to say.
one, did you always have that entrepreneurial spirit? Two, is there certain personality traits that almost not guarantee, but are going to
Higher probability.
likely.
higher
Success.
probability you're going to lead to success in that type of business.
So I'll answer the second question first, because I think the answer to the second question will lead you into the answer to the first, or lead us into the answer into the first question. So the second question is the personality test. So right people, right seat is what we call it. Mm-hmm. 2 parts to this. Number one, we use a system called EOS, the Entrepreneurial Operating System. Okay. The EOS.
I feel like you've talked about this on the
Yep.
podcast.
I think we have.
We did, because we talked about the IDS portion of that. So in this operating system, which is fantastic. I recommend it. It's very hard to get into. As a matter of fact, if you are interested in it, call me. I know an implementer. They shut it down. They changed the format. It's like a franchise system now. It's kind of whack, I think. But we self-implemented. If you're interested in that, contact me. I'll get you in touch with someone who can help. That's number one. In this EOS, the operating system that we use, is a right people, right seat tool. The right person is defined by our core values. Okay. And if you are the right person, you give a lot of shit. That's one of our core values, is give a shit. So you give a shit, your fun and refreshing attitude, you're thorough and detail oriented, so on and so forth. Okay. Right. Those are our core values. That is our right person. And then we have right seat. And the personality test or the survey, it's called Culture Index. Also, contact me if you're interested in that. It's pretty badass. But what that's designed to do is identify what the right seat is and then place those people in the right seat.
Based on their
correct
culture index.
So if I have a sales position, okay, I don't want to hire, it's an outside sales position where you go run around and you talk to people all day long. I don't want to have an introvert in that extrovert seat. That's the right person, maybe, core value fit, but they're an introvert. I don't want to put them in that seat, okay? So what we do is we decide what are the requirements for that seat. And then we have sort of the pattern, if you will, of what that person, the personality type for that seat. The closer we can get a person to that personality type on what we know that position requires, number one, the more effortlessly that person can do the job. So therefore, the less tired or frustrated, the more happy they are with the job because it's a natural fit.
Right.
So the idea is with Culture Index and with my company and with my culture is if we can get people who are the right person and all of us have the same type of core values and behaviors that we display, okay, and you're in a position that you are inherently built for or naturally built for or have been trained to do, then you'll be around a bunch of people who are just like you and you're doing what you're good at naturally. So you kind of can do it well, great. And then you don't have to essentially put on a second set of skin on your way to work. You know, a lot of people, there's surveys out there that people report like their worst time of day is the way to their job because they know they have to put on a face. They're going to be miserable.
If you love what you do, you never work a day in your life.
Dude, so this is the concept. This is that. So if you are built for
Hence your badass marketers.
Right.
They are all
so
amazing.
Way to answer the question and not answer the question at the same time. So because a section of that culture index, one of the personality traits will dictate whether you could potentially be successful as an entrepreneur. Like this is an entrepreneurial culture index. So if somebody doesn't score in that,
correct.
Are they doomed for failure?
No.
Do they just have to work harder?
Yep. So this is how I thought it would lead into the answer.
Okay.
Just like I have a position built for the salesperson or a marketing person or an administrative person, there is also a template, a seat built for an entrepreneur.
Profile.
Yeah, a profile.
Right.
Okay. And if you are the opposite of that profile and you go into that seat, you're probably not going to like it. You're going to have to work extra fucking hard to do what is required for that seat. So, for example, if you want to be if you want to scale a company, you can't lead with your friendly bone all the time. Okay? If you're all just friendly and all you want to do is please people, good luck running a business. Can you? Sure. There are people who do it. I know people who do it. Okay? But are you going to put someone else's feelings over your profitability? Well, if your primary focus is to make people like you, it's going to be very hard in a lot of those situations to maintain your profitability because you're going to naturally want to give that up because you're more of a selfless person. So if you want to be a successful entrepreneur, you either have to naturally possess a more selfish trait or you have to fight against yourself internally every time you have to make one of those selfish decisions.
You don't want to fire someone because you'll feel bad.
Right.
So I guess to answer my own question partially, is the people that don't match that profile are probably not interested in being entrepreneurs to begin with.
And
'Cause
if they are,
they don't
it's
find that enjoyable, or they don't enjoy the hustle, the
Yeah.
you know, the requirements it takes.
or if they are, it's like the introvert that wants to be a salesperson or the salesperson that just wants a desk job.
Or money driven.
Money, yep.
I could totally start this business and make a ton of money, but
Yep.
not really thinking about all of the headache, all of the stress, all
Yeah.
of that.
And then
that
they get
goes along
into
with
it and they are the story of failure or a ball of stress that just isn't worth the money. So for me, so to answer your question, another part of your question, which was where did me growing up,
Right.
I've always been built like this.
Just mowing lawns.
It's what I like to do. Yep. I was as early as I can remember, like literally as early as I can remember, probably elementary school, mid elementary school, late elementary school, definitely middle school. Dude, I was finding something to sell. I'm not a salesman, even though people call me and people are, you're a good salesman. I hate selling because I lead with that aggressive trait, not my people trait.
selfish.
Yeah, it's more of a selfish, more of a hostile trait, which is not good for sales. Sometimes it's necessary, but I don't lead with that trait.
Got to
And
read the room.
yeah, you got to read the room, and sometimes I don't care. I just blurt shit out, some truth. But I always had a business. I was always flipping something. I was a young kid. My mom used to run the concession stand. Both my parents were business minded and entrepreneurial. They both had their own business. My mom, not so much, but my dad ran the businesses for my mom, and my mom worked and did them and was the people person. My dad was kind of the asshole,
Right.
made the hard decisions, and my mom was the friendly one.
Very similar to.
Yeah, very similar. Yeah, and my dad's profile, before he passed, he took it. My mom took it too. My mom is very similar to Lindy, and my dad is very similar to mine.
Shocker.
Yeah, cool fucker. Yeah. Yeah, so I married my mom, and she married my dad. That poor soul. But she also loved my dad very much and knew my dad had a heart of gold as well. So anyhow, yeah, man, I was selling candy. My mom ran the concession stand. I used to go in, buy concession stand food or candy
Flip it for a profit.
Yeah, while she went, I saw what the concession stand was doing. Dude, they were buying Airheads for like 5 cents in bulk at Sam's, and they were going and selling them for 25 cents. And I was like, well, I'm going to do that
Right.
on my own. I'm going to start my own little concession stand right out of my backpack. Dude, I used to steal from the concession stand. Not steal. Borrow. I used to return it. So I would go take the Airheads from the back of the concession stand. I'm sorry, Mom and Maitland Little League for doing this. Please don't send the cops after me. I got enough trouble on my hands. I would go in
Statute
the
of limitations
in the
is
back
passed.
storage room in the concession stand, and I would snake a box of Airheads. I would then go sell them the next day or week at school. I would take all the profit. I would make $100 on a box of Airheads. I would then go to Sam's with my mom the next week when she'd go shopping for the concession stand with my own money.
She's like, you don't need all those Airheads. You're like, no, I do, Mom. I got
I really.
With my own money,
Gotta
I would buy
replace
2 boxes of Airheads, and I would return one of the boxes of Airheads that I stole, borrowed.
Robbing Peter to pay Paul.
This is just like my little inventory. The concession stand.
Your mom just got you started. She probably would have gave you the box. She
Dude, that's basically how I started all my businesses. I didn't
Stealing?
steal. Yeah, I didn't steal. No, borrow. Borrow. I mean, that's how you do it. Hey, I need $10,000. I'm going to borrow this from you, and then I'm going to turn that into more money, and then I'll return that money.
I'm going to ask this question, but I
always been
already
that way.
know the answer, but
All
I
right.
want you to kind of touch base on it because Jordan, my wife, is starting a business,
Yep.
essentially. She's been going at it for 3 or 4 years now, but there were those moments in time where she also wasn't bringing in money because, you know, you got to work towards it. And we were unsure if we were going to be able to continue on the path and maintain our household. You know
Yep.
what I mean? So in the attitude you have and the personality you have, was there ever a moment where you're like, I don't think this is going to happen with any of the businesses, you know, your roofing business or Serpro. I don't think this is going to happen. Or is it more of not if, but when attitude?
So The answer is absolutely it happened. It's not if, it's when. It happens to every single person who has ever had any level of success. When you go to the gym, because your dad lifter, when you go to the gym, has there ever been a time where you felt midway through the workout that you are not going to finish?
Right.
And did you finish?
Right.
Was it fucking hard?
Absolutely.
And then the question is, did you then grow from that? This way, the next time you went in, you went, no, I finished the last one, motherfucker, and it's easier than this one. I know I can finish.
Right.
It happens at every level of business. It continuously happens. And the successful people are the ones who can, A, weather that storm, and B, there comes a level of sort of knowledge and experience, just like it would for a power lifter or a professional athlete or a dancer or a singer, any profession, where you've just swung the bat so many times, you've just hit that shot so many times that you can get yourself out of it.
I want to add something to that too, because at watching you and hearing you talk, you've talked a lot about being able to take risks, right?
Yeah, you're so cute.
I just
so cute.
like
What's your question, honey?
I'm saying
lost
I'm
yourself.
adding to it because there have, like, every single time you scale is a risk, and
That's
if you're not willing to take however much of a risk, I mean, big or small, you have to be able to do that to grow and to scale your business.
That's right.
So
Yeah,
I've learned that from hearing you.
And maybe I want Lindy to touch base on this too, because I feel bad at times for my wife, because the way I'm coming across probably makes it seem like I don't believe she can do it.
Yep.
When I 100%, if and she's probably past the point now where, we're not going to make it. But those times where we were, it probably came off as like, I don't know if you can do this, versus I don't know if we're going to make it while you're trying to do this. You know what I mean? Because she's got the same attitude you have. She's a go-getter. She's driven. We all know she can be successful, but we didn't know if we were going to make it through the times when she wasn't, or the growth was happening. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So I don't even know if there was a question there. I was just kind of commenting on. I guess, Lindy, were those times for you? Like, obviously we know Matt, and we know if he puts his mind to something, he's going to push through and do it. But were you ever in those situations where you're like, I know he can do it, but we just cannot afford to wait for it to happen? Or did you just struggle?
I don't think
hopped on the
so.
struggle bus and wrote it out?
I don't think there was ever a time where I was like, he's not going to be able to do this, because he has always stuck to his word. Like, anything he says that we can do or should do, I've believed him, and he hasn't been wrong for our family anyways. I know you've made wrong business decisions, but
All the time.
you've always said we
Fuck 'em.
need to stay in this apartment. We need to eat ramen for the next, or not really ramen, but we need to eat.
Budget.
Yes.
Budget.
And we need to be very careful of what we do for the next 3 months. I just need you to focus on not spending any money, and
Dude, speaking on that, I think one time you told me this, because you guys used to have the cereal like in the containers. And I think it was to fool people into thinking it was actually like Fruit Loops, when it was actually like the fucking fruity
fruit rings.
fruit circles.
Fruit circles. Yeah.
I think I remember you telling me that one time.
yeah. And I think it goes back to when I first met him in the Army. Like, I was like, this dude is serious. Like, but everything that he has said we needed to do or should do, I'm like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to live in another apartment. I don't want to move.
But nobody wants to fucking go backwards.
Right.
Nobody wants to Nobody wants to go from a 4,000 square foot house to a fucking apartment.
For 7 years.
Right. For a long time. It's not
1 year.
fast.
You told me 1 year, maybe 2.
No, I did not.
Yes, you did. And then
I
at 2
probably
years, you're
So
like,
he is a liar.
I
You're
lied
like-
right through my teeth.
and then you're
You
like,
just had to lie to buy
we just
yourself
have to
some
do.
time.
I know we've been here 2 years, but we
That's
just
a
need to do
step-selling
3 or 4
process.
more.
Yeah, the
3 or
step
and I was like
step
3 or
sell.
4 more years.
That's a step sell.
If we wouldn't have had Cora, we would probably still be in an apartment or a townhome.
Yeah, so
Which isn't. There's nothing wrong with it.
All right,
Oftentimes we're like,
real quick, let me add some context. So Matt, essentially what you did was you made it fail proof. You made it, if this doesn't work,
We're still good.
We're good because we have this money coming in. Whereas you, Zach, you guys still had the big house, and there was
Right.
worry because if it didn't work, You literally could have failed.
So we did the opposite. We didn't downsize.
Y'all upsize and try and start a new business.
We upsized, and then we're at that point. We're like, we have to fucking make this work.
Yeah,
So
nothing wrong with that.
yeah.
You live and you learn.
So here's what I did and continue to do. Number one, I live below my means. It's important. It's very important. The problem is that when your means are high and your lifestyle is high and your means drop,
That's a
your
problem.
lifestyle stays the same.
Right.
Where people struggle is dropping, and where we struggle, where everyone struggled, I just knew that it had to fucking happen.
Failure was
Step
not an option.
One, failure's not an option. So we have to minimize our chances or likelihood of failure. How do I do that? So the means dropped because I started a business, so now I can no longer afford this lifestyle because all of my money is being reallocated to the business. Okay? So what do I have to do? Well, my means dropped, so now I have to drop the way I live to live below my means.
Right.
And when you go from, a multi-million-dollar business or six figures down to zero, the means changed drastically.
Literally.
And in all
zero.
fairness, Amazon wasn't as popular back then.
That's right.
either, so.
That's right. Oh, listen, we went and we used to go to the store. We'd buy $300 worth of groceries. We'd waste it. We'd buy shit. Our kids would go, I want this. Okay, cool. And then we cut that $300 down to $100 and said, here's what we're going to do. And now all of a sudden we're going, no kids, we're going to buy these fruit rings, fruit circles instead of that. Why? Because it's $2 cheaper and we could buy two of them instead of one.
Right.
That's why. And the kids are like, oh, shit, they adapt quick. It was us that didn't want to adapt, but we did. So we reduced a lot of that stress, but we took on other stresses. Like people saying, the Marchese's are, at one point, Lindy's family had like a fucking intervention with her.
They did.
They thought you were fucking living in slum.
Yeah. They were like, we have a question. And then she told me after the fact, because they obviously didn't want to insult me. And they're like,
Why are you
guys
still in an apartment?
Are you guys okay? Can you not afford a house? And
I said, no, my husband's just.
My husband's fucking crazy.
Well, we got a 3-year plan that turned into a 7-year plan. That's
Yeah, but we had a $0 million business that turned into a $1 million business. $1 million business turned into a $3 million business. $3 million business turned into a $6 million business in a fucking apartment.
right.
How did it happen? Well, we moved to an apartment and we bought fruit circles and not Fruit Loops.
And you had amazing support.
I had a shitload of support with a full-time job that worked her ass off to provide all of everything we needed.
That's something too, Matt. I think you should add context to is how you've always reinvested that profit back into the business.
That's.
So I had
very-
another. Yeah, good point.
And that's why you were straight up front saying you're not going to take a paycheck for 2 years because
That's right.
that all needs to be put back into the
Correct.
And that's what happens a lot of the time with businesses when they start. They take money or more than they should, or
Yeah,
that's what you didn't do.
I had a friend.
I don't know how you knew to not
Pay
do
yourself
that, but-
last.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a friend who was an insurance salesman. I'm not going to say his name. Good friend of mine. Love you, buddy. Who was kicking ass in his first year in business. Second year in business, he was crushing it, and then he later and he was spending his money. Bought a new house. He did this, that, and later he's going, well, shit, I can't grow because I didn't do that. He stunted his own growth, but he truly didn't know. He was just a young dude starting a business. Didn't know, and this is what he described to me is, I didn't know that that the business has to have money in order for this. I just thought you kill what you eat, you spend what you made. Like, that's it. You work, and then you have the money, and then you buy things.
We're actually going through that right now with Jordan. She's kind of gotten to a point where she can't get any bigger unless she hires somebody. Now, hiring somebody comes with another expense and adds another level of stress. But in order to continue to grow, she's got to put that money back into hiring somebody or, doing the dirty work, I guess you would say, in order to grow. Or we're just going to be in the same cycle. She's not going to get any bigger. So to that point, you need to invest back into the business to be able to, if you're wanting to grow, continue to grow.
And it's a risk because that person's
It's
going to
definitely
cost how much?
nerve-wracking, for
Yeah,
sure.
how much is that going to cost a year?
I don't know what she's paying her, but
40,
or how
50
many
grand,
hours.
60 grand? depending. Now, are they going to make that much money back? You don't fucking know.
Right.
You hope so. What if they don't? Now I'm going to be out 60 grand. I don't have 60
Because you have
grand
to
do
pay
that.
your employees.
You don't have a choice. It's a commitment that you're making on the front end.
There's no option there.
Yeah, I'll give you the answer to that, Jordan. If you're listening, and I know you will, hire that person, or else you won't fucking.
She already
know.
did.
Good.
She just hired somebody.
Roll those dice. Nice job. If you can't afford it, take a loan, and then don't fuck up. And if you do, it's okay. Just fix it, and then take another loan.
She won't fuck up.
People do. They borrow the money.
Borrow more money. Borrow more money. Borrow your way right out of it, and keep fighting, keep fighting, keep fighting, and then all of a sudden you go. So I read a book. It was I forget what it was called. It was written or like
I read
quoted
it.
by the
In a book.
I forget what it was called. But one of the Shark Tank people, I think Mr. Wonderful, Kevin O'Leary dude, quoted in the book. I don't know if it was him. Anyway, one of them peoples were quoted saying, "There will come a time, or when there comes a time, and there will come a time when you ask yourself, why did you even do this? Why did you even get into starting your own business? Okay. And there will come a time. It makes it very clear. And it uses the word anxiety. You will feel the anxiety that comes with this and that. When that happens, and it will happen, instead of quitting, use that anxiety, convert it, and use that energy to catapult you to the next level." And I remember laying in bed reading it. I was like, babe, listen to this. It was at that, like literally I was going through one of those periods. Like I needed to hear those words at that time.
Right.
Because I had just had my first like full blown panic attack. I was freaking the fuck out. I was in between businesses. I was scared. Starting a new business. And I remember laying in bed reading it to my wife saying, look at this. This is exactly what it is. This person says, and it will happen. Dude, and it got me out of that. Like it literally switched my mindset.
Like, oh, this is supposed to happen.
This is supposed to happen. And to my point earlier, to answer your question again, the successful ones are the ones that just know that's a part of the process. And then there's the Gary V's of the world who learned it super fucking young, who like challenged that part of the process. They're like, yeah, bitch, give me an L.
It's
like,
almost
come at me with
it's
that
fork in
anxiety.
the road, man.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people at that point will quit and go
Yes.
back to something safer.
That's right.
Whereas the true entrepreneurs, the true winners are going to push through and continue
risk.
to build. The risk takers.
Yes.
That's right.
Will.
So I would advise Jordan and any other young entrepreneur, number one is you need to get the support of your spouse, and you got to go fucking deep with the
And
support.
spouses, you need to be supportive
And
don't
deep, real
and
support.
expect them to be gone and not in with you for a while.
What
When-
Not
drives
with you,
me as for support wise is just knowing one day she's going to be my sugar mama.
I already
Because
told-
we are
talked
very
about
much
this.
alike. We're
I
like,
told you
yeah,
that.
babe.
That isn't true because the
What?
Protect Your Purpose podcast is going to explode.
Oh, you're right. Right.
And then you're going to have a spin-off
We already said this.
on your own, The Zach and Grady Show.
I'm going to
You
use
say
an
the
and in
Zach
between
and
my
Grady show?
Yeah. wrong with that?
Jordan's Grady, I guess.
So he's gonna get some.
It's the Zach and Grady Show, and he's going to... I'm Zach. And I'm Grady. Yeah. Come on. You can do this. Anyway, yeah. She's going to be your sugar mama. That's fine.
No, I'm
Only-
kidding.
Only if you support the shit out of her
Right.
and continue to invest in your business.
I just
and continue
know
to
what
push
type
forward.
of person she is. So
She's a killer.
if we have to go through these rough patches, I know they're not going to be forever. Do they suck in the time, in the moment? Sure, but
Yep.
just the type of person she is, it's not gonna be that way for long. So.
Right. So here's the message to them. It's and to you as a spouse, and my wife can attest. It is supposed to happen. It's fucking required. If not, it's just luck. Like it's just luck. And that shit isn't real. We've talked about this.
Mm-hmm.
Preparation meets opportunity is what luck is. The preparation is the challenge. Like that's the shit. And then the opportunity comes, but you've put in the work and you've got to put it in first. I saw something the other day. Noah built the ark before the flood or whatever it was. Like you've got to fucking do it. You got to put in the blood, the sweat, the tears. This way, when the opportunity comes, you're positioned right to have it. And Jordan's personality and your personality can both handle it. We know this. She's a killer. She's going to fucking get it for sure. The message, the main message is here for young entrepreneurs who are going through this, who are built this way, and who want to do this. Learn to enjoy those moments.
I have a question.
That's the journey. That's the fun shit. That's the shit.
I think we've said it numerous times.
Yeah.
Embrace the suck.
Embrace the suck. Like truly, listen to that word, those words. Listen to that phrase. Don't take it as some catchphrase, some bullshit. Literally, embrace that shit. And when you defeat it, go celebrate it like a win. Like, fuck yeah, we thought we were going to go broke and then we got a big job. Boom, it's time to celebrate. But don't celebrate the big job. Celebrate the fact that you were so cornered and backed into a corner and afraid for your family and your existence, and you fucking got it. You did it. Celebrate that, because the more you celebrate it, the more you will acknowledge that you did it. Like a PR in the gym. Dude, I just hit 330 on the bench, or just did whatever. What do? You go ring a bell. You celebrate that shit. Why? Because you want to remember that win. In the entrepreneurial world, dude, that is the suck. That is the fucking journey. And when you're done, you get to talk about that. You get to embrace
It's
it.
like
You
that.
remember the wins and learn from the losses.
Yeah, fuck
What's
those
that?
losses,
David
dude.
Goggin. I don't remember the exact numbers he used, but it's like the 40 or 60% rule or something like that. When you feel like you're totally exhausted and you can't go on any farther, you've probably only hit 40 to 60% of your capacity.
Yeah,
at
that's
that
probably
point.
right.
Same in the entrepreneurial world. Like
right.
when you think you're done.
Embrace the suck. Enjoy the journey. That's what they mean. What
I
was
think
your
Lindy
question,
was going to
honey?
say something.
Oh, I was going to say, if you're a young entrepreneur and you are not married, how do you do it without a spouse?
You live in your mom's basement and not spend any money.
Yeah, no, that's right.
Dude, so if
Like if you're
I've been
23,
thinking about that too. Like Jordan's business, the kids coming out of college with no expenses, with no family, with no nothing, all they can focus on is the business. Like that's when you need to start that type of business. Like
Yeah. So
not always the case, but
So there's kind of a caveat to that, or a flip side to that, rather. Those kids. So I always say I wish I would have done this, or I wish I would have done that. There's another element to this. Okay. There's another piece to the puzzle that I didn't have yet. And that piece is the experience that I now have. So yes, those kids are at a major advantage because they're coming out, living in their mom's basement. They don't have it. They don't do this. They don't, it's so much easier.
but they also haven't experienced anything.
Bingo. They haven't fucking done the weights in the gym that Jordan has done. They've never rang that bell, dude. They've never rang that bell. And the fact that they've never rang that bell, it takes a really special person to be able to overcome that, even with the advantage. So the real advantage lies in time. It's like whiskey in the barrel, man. You can't cheat the time. You can try. The scientists and the nerds have gotten a hold of the whiskey distilling business. And guess what? The votes are all in and it's fucking unanimous. You still can't cheat the time. You can climate control your warehouse and your rick house and your aging process. You can dial in down to a millisecond on transfers. I mean, you can do anything and everything. The magic comes from the time in the barrel. It's the same with the fitness world. The magic comes from the fucking reps, athletes. Dude, my son asked me the other day because he was shooting, getting open, doing great in his game, and he was just off. And he's like, I just got to get better at shooting. I'm like, well, how do you get better at shooting? Take more shots, more reps.
Shoot.
Jordan's got reps, and I've got reps. And people ask us with our marriage, we've got reps. We just did a full episode about it. We were miserable and toxic for years, but we didn't fucking quit. And if you don't quit, you can't lose because you just outwork.
Hey, there are some relationships you should quit though.
That's right. That's true. We should have quit. We were one of those relationships that should have quit.
Don't hear what he's not saying. If you're getting
Yes,
in an
that's
abusive
true.
relationship or something, you need to get out of that
quit.
shit. But
Let me add context just one last time here. As someone who is single and a single parent at that, the way that you've said time, there's another side of time as well, and that is I would literally work. I'm successful on YouTube. I would work 8 hours a day, do my parent stuff, and still put in 8 hours a day on YouTube. So I get like 2 hours of sleep a night. Gary Vee did the
hustle.
same thing.
The hustle.
Yep.
You still do your work. So Lindy, spouse, supported.
Yep.
If you don't have that spouse, you have to do that still.
Right.
And then you have to have the drive and motivation to when it sucks, when you should be sleeping, to still put in that work to become successful on your entrepreneurial side.
All right. So Ian brought a whole new element, which is not having a spouse for the support
And still having responsibilities.
and having the kids for the responsibilities. Where yes, so that's a different element, which requires a whole shitload more discipline. So here's the answer to that question: is a young kid out of college, their detriment and their holdbacks are going to be their youth and their lack of maturity and their lack of cuts or swings. You know, their experience. They're going to lack that. That's why I tell people I meet with young kids all the time, young entrepreneurs. Oh, you know, they're impatient. They're impatient. They want to go. They want to get it done. And I'm going, yeah, dude, I understand. Believe me, because I've now thought like that before. I've done that journey, and I'm now here. It's hard for me to realize that I'm 40 and I've had a business for a lot of years now, but I see it now from a different perspective. And I tell them, dude, just chill out, slow down with intensity. Don't be relentless on your goals. I got that. But just understand that you're going to be way better at this when you're 30. You're 20 right now, dude. The only life experience you have, like you've had one vagina, one girl, one job. Like you don't have what it takes right now to build that.
You haven't even failed yet.
You haven't even failed yet, right? You haven't taken the reps. Mm-hmm. It's fucking impossible. You might fold like a little lawn chair or something if faced with adversity.
Yeah, first
right.
sign of adversity.
Fuck that shit. You need the reps, dude. You got time. So I say, just chill out. Enjoy the journey.
Hey. Psst. Sorry, excuse me. Pardon the interruption. Welcome to the Protect Your Purpose podcast commercial. This is our first commercial, and what we are advertising is this week's clue to our Easter egg hunt, or a Christmas egg hunt, whatever you want to call it. This week's clue is freedom. Okay, this week's clue is freedom. You can get last week's clue by going to last week's episode and listening to that for the first clue. Take the first clue, the second clue, we're going to go on for the next few weeks. And on December 23rd, the day before Christmas Eve, we're going to announce the winner. We're also going to announce how you enter for your chance to win. And when you enter for your chance to win, or you will have the opportunity to win a $500 electronically transferred gift on the day before Christmas Eve. Also, next week, I think on Monday, we've got some shorts coming out. So when those come out, little short video clips describing what the giveaway is. So if you could, please share those, get people engaged with the show so we can get our message out there. We appreciate your support, and catch you on the next one. Enjoy the rest of the show.
That's what they mean by that. Enjoy the journey, take the reps. But so the answer to your question, both of your questions, is you need support. Everyone needs support. Find a mentor. If you're single and you don't have like a family support system, go to your mom, go to your dad, but screen that person. That person has to fucking support you like my wife supported me.
Can't hold you back. Can't ask questions.
Can't hold you back. Can't shoot you down. Can't call you a piece of shit. Also a problem with today's culture with this toxic masculinity bullshit narrative, which puts wives out of the house into the workforce. And what does that fucking do? When a wife leaves the nest to go out into the workforce to be independent, what does that do? Well, it cripples the man's ability and it takes away from the team concept, which is, hey, you cover this and I'll do this side. Instead, we're both out here and who's doing this? Well, we won't go into that, but it's the government is the answer for most people. They're now watching your kids through their school system. But most importantly, what has happened is the husband and wife team and the support system has been dismantled. And now she's saying, well, I got to worry about my career because I'm independent. Now what? Well, at the very start of this show, I said literally 100% of my success hinged on the fact that I had a crazy support system at home where I can go and cry and be sad and struggle and stress and still have a, hey, we got this. We can do this. We got this. Keep fucking going instead of I deserve better and I'm independent and take these kids and all that shit that wives do. I understand they're frustrated, but yes, the support system, find one. If it's not a spouse, in the business world, we've got mentors and they will support you. And if it's a good mentor, they'll encourage you and they'll tell you, yeah, it's part of the fucking process, man. Use that energy to catapult you to the next level. Don't fucking quit. You got it. It's just a bump in the road. You'll get it. And for single parent type shit, That's a whole new element. But you're going to need more support system than anyone, and you're going to need more grit and more grind, more discipline, more intestinal fortitude.
You gotta want it.
You got to fucking want it at that point, dude.
And to Ian's point, he wanted it. Because
Oh, yeah.
I remember
He still wants
asking
it.
you about it. I remember asking you about your schedule at one point, and you were like, "Well, Thursdays is my no sleep night." So, like he had it
That's
down
not
to a science.
exaggeration.
No, yeah,
my
Thursday
first year,
nights.
Thursdays, I did not sleep
He didn't sleep. He
for
fucking
my whole first year on YouTube.
because he was making videos and then fucking back. What were you doing at that point?
Editing.
You were
And then Friday,
HVAC. You were HVAC.
Yep. And
Yeah, so-
Fridays I would just drop like 5 videos because I did music reactions, and music dropped 11 p.m. Thursday night. Most people go to bed by then. That's when music comes out. Early bird gets the worm on reactions.
Right.
I did not sleep Thursday nights for a whole year.
And then woke up and went to fucking work. And then
So-
didn't wake up, just shut his computer and went to fucking work. the next
Some
day.
context for our listeners. Ian has, shameless plug, Hot Sauce Beats on YouTube, right? Whoop, whoop. Ian has been an active YouTube influencer for several years now and has gone through the grind. He's got lots of 50, 60,000. What do you got? How many subs you got on YouTube?
57,000.
He's got nearly 60,000. That's how we...
It's going to be 100 after this episode airs.
Yeah, for sure. All 300,000 of these people are going to see it. So Hot Sauce Beats, what Ian did is, which is noteworthy to say the least, and is entrepreneurial and is a full display of the grit that it takes to do it in order to build any success. He's still very early on. He has monetized not only his channels and his networks through Twitch and YouTube and socials and shit, but he has also monetized his value in his other career field in this, and he's using his same shit that he learned to now make a full-time salary, producing it, podcasts and content for others, such as myself, as well as another third job for him, going home and working on his own channel and his own socials.
And his own daughters.
And included in that, Ian is a single dad.
Single ladies.
We are not, this is not,
Sorry,
we're
not a dating game. Sorry.
Ladies,
connection
you don't want
again.
shit to do with Ian. I'm just kidding.
Sorry.
He's a little weird. He's definitely got COVID right now. He's taking 9 tests. So if you're into that kind of shit, he's your guy. No, but Ian is the anti-excuse. So if you're a single mom out there, imagine being a single dad. Like, moms have superpowers, so fuck y'all. Like, whatever. You get to do shit that we can't even do. You get to grow people. Your body is so magnificent
Powerful.
that you just make people.
So can dudes. Got him. Got him. All right, that's for another podcast.
That's
Don't
a
get
different
on it.
podcast.
Don't get on it.
Yes, and depending on whether or not you live in California or not, then Zach could make a dude.
But one more
make a baby.
one more piece to
And
Ian,
make a dude.
and not to blow his head up any more than we already have. But what I appreciate about Ian's journey is he wasn't afraid to take criticism and change. Like, you started out making beats, right? He moved to reacting to videos.
Pivot.
And obviously, if you've seen him in his videos, he's got the perfect personality to freaking be
Goofball.
crazy and react to videos. Then he moved. You did a Minecraft stuff for a while. You did Twitch. You did
Now
he wasn't
we're doing
afraid to
ghosts.
branch out and change and take criticism to grow what he has. And I think,
Yeah.
I mean, he's crushed it, obviously.
So in the entrepreneurial spirited conversation, I think the major, all that is true. Pivoted. Ian's a built visionary though, and
He's a visionary.
So talking about culture index and personalities, Ian's a visionary. So are you. Lindy is not, but can see the vision, and the ability to identify a problem, pivot, solve the problem, and move the fuck on. Without getting down on himself or quitting. I'm sure there's times, I'll ask him in a second. But what the most important factor, and I want all young entrepreneurs, doesn't matter if you want to be a social media influencer, a podcaster, a financial advisor, a Verbo owner, or a restoration contractor, a whiskey distiller, whatever the hell you want to be, the problems are the same. And the most important thing is the ability to not, the relentlessness to not quit in the times of sadness and darkness and failure, when faced with adversity, when knowing that I'm not going to sleep and I still have to get up and go do a thankless ass fucking job every day. It's like Groundhog's Day. And the grit and the unwillingness to fail is what Ian displayed. All that other shit is good. He's raised two beautiful little girls who have personalities that are to die for, who are as sweet as the day is long. They're disciplined. They're respectful. He did all that as a single dad. There's no fucking excuses. There's no excuses. The excuse is you don't want to put in the fucking work. If that's the case, cool. Guy I bought one of my ServPros from, I asked him a long time ago, didn't you ever want to be rich? And he told me, yeah, I just didn't want to do what it took to be rich. And I was like, whoa, dude. Wow. Yeah. He's in his, late 60s, 70. He just recognized
You bought the business with 2 employees, right? Him and another guy?
Yeah, I just didn't want to do all that shit. Of course I wanted to be. That's what he told me. Of course I did. I just didn't want to do what it took to do that. Do you want to do what it takes?
Right.
Ian wants to do what it takes. Jordan wants to do. We all want to do what it takes, which is why we made this, because we were a good balance and a good display of different types of success and different
I could not
stories.
imagine running a business just from watching
Could you imagine a 20-year career in the United States Armed Forces and dealing with that level of bullshit? Because your bullshit that you deal with is far fucking greater than my level of bullshit. That's why
touche.
I'm getting the fuck out of the Army.
I'm
and
sure if I asked your recruiter, he'd say, fuck no.
my recruiter went to prison.
We still talk to
Staff
our
Sergeant
recruiters.
Jose Young, poor guy. Lewd and Civius Sax on a minor. He didn't lie to me, though. Told me the real deal. It's going to suck, and it did. Worked out.
We still talk to our recruiter.
He wasn't my recruiter.
Oh, he wasn't?
No.
You just knew him?
Yeah, met him after the fact.
Oh.
I don't talk to mine very much. I saw him, actually, not too long ago. But
I should look mine up.
Yeah.
he's probably still in prison if that was what he
I was
got
going to
charged
say,
with.
well, when I came back from basic training, that was it. He was doing it actively. I'm lucky I didn't get raped. Am I allowed to say rape?
You are now.
I'm not a Democrat. I don't know. Anyway. All right, let's wrap this. Wait, before we do that, let's do, is there any more questions? I feel like you had more and you don't.
I guess the only thing I wanted to kind of put a bow on it, and you may have already...
Pour me some of that while you do that. I'll do it.
While
You
you
tell the
talk.
story.
You may have already you may have already answered the question.
Touched? I don't think we can say that following up the rape comment. Touched.
You may have already
Don't say
touched base.
touched.
Touch
Felt.
base.
You've already,
Touch
no,
base.
not felt. Touch base.
Touch base on you may have already answered the question without knowing you were answering the question. But if you could, with all your infinite wisdom and experience,
You don't have to
now-
make it sound so fucking
Douchey.
dude. You're patronizing me.
No, I'm not.
All right,
You're a smart guy. You got a lot of experience under
Thanks.
your belt. If you could say something to either a young entrepreneur or yourself when you were first starting, what piece of advice would you give yourself?
Ooh, shit. That's a good one. Can you edit out some time for this? I feel like I need time. I don't know that I've ever been asked this question. I think I've got lots of answers.
You just need one.
So to say in
What's the main
Yeah.
one you would give?
so to stay in the spirit of this element of the conversations. So there's different advice that I would give people in different aspects and from different situations. I'd have to know more.
Just starting off.
Yeah, but just starting off with a rich mommy and daddy, just starting off with $1,000, just starting out like with
Touche. There's
two
context
kids,
to everything.
right? In general, I would stay with the spirit of this, and I would say, or with this conversation rather, and I would say, be patiently impatient. Okay, respect the requirement of time. That is, it's required. If there's a get rich quick scheme out there, like if you're following one of these fucking influencers who's saying, they made $1 million in their first year, like, first of all, it's probably a fucking lie.
It's a scheme. That's why you
It's a
said get rich scheme.
It's a scheme. It's a scam. They're lying. They're portraying an image and they're selling the image, not the actual information that they're giving.
Right.
So I'd say, number one, don't listen to any of that because that's going to deter you from doing what is super important.
Give
and
you
that
false
is,
hope.
it's going to give you a false sense of
Exactly.
hope and reality. And the reality is that it takes the reps. It takes the time from when you start to when you can consider yourself successful. It takes time. My biggest advice is try your best to get through that time with intensity, not speed. Don't quit. Be relentless, but respect that time. It takes 6 years, 4 years, 10 years for a whiskey to age appropriately before it is delivered to the market. Don't go try and deliver yourself to the market prematurely. Example, ask me when am I going to release my whiskey?
When are you going to release your whiskey?
When it's ready. If I deliver my whiskey to the market before it is ready, it will fail. It will fucking flop. Down the road, when it's ready, it might come back too, but I may have created some problems that I have to fight my way out of because I didn't respect the time. It needed the time. Your bodies, your mind, your soul, your marriage, your support systems, your bank accounts, your relationships, it all needs the time. And the best part is when you get to the fact that you understand what I just explained, and then and only then can you really enjoy the journey. Enjoy the fucking journey.
Boom. Mic drop. Peace out.
1, 2, 3.
We're done.
1, 2, 3.
Bye.
That's a good way to end it.